Welcome to the fourth chapter of Crystal Clear Electronics 2. In the previous chapters, you learned about the basics of low-level programming, and now we will build on this and introduce you to the development environment. I'm here with Bence Bárány, who is familiar with the development environment, as he often uses it in his everyday work.
That's right, I welcome you too. Next to me is Lilla Samosi, who you have already met in the first chapter. There are many tools to write a program, ranging from simple notepad applications to modern development environments. The advantage of modern development environments is that you can do most development steps, such as code editing, compilation and linking, using a single package, so you don't have to bother with them separately.
This chapter was written by Szabolcs Hadarics and proofread by Péter Ákos Girgász. It will provide insight into the STM32 CubeIDE, the development environment for the ST microelectronics 32-bit microcontrollers and microprocessors.
Let's get started.
To be able to use the development environment, we must install it first on our computer. The software is available to anyone for free after a short registration on the ST Microelectronics website. You will find the link in the video description. Scroll down on the page and select the installer from the table that suits your operating system, and always download the latest version. The easiest way to get the latest version is to click on the Get Latest button. After clicking on the button, you must accept the terms of use. To download, you can create a new ST account, log into an existing ST account, or continue as a guest. After entering your name and email address, you will receive the download link at the address you provided.
When the installation is complete, open the program. The first time you start it, you will need to specify a workspace. That is a folder where your projects and current settings will be saved by default. Be sure to configure the path so that it does not contain accented or special characters, as this may lead to malfunction. After that, you will be welcomed by the Information Center, where you can access all the specifications related to the development environment and easily start working on a project of your choice.
Before we can create our first project, we need to log into an ST account in order to access the software packages needed to program the microcontroller. This can be done by clicking on the My ST button in the menu bar and then on Login. A window will then pop up where you can log into an existing account or create a new one by entering some details. Now everything is ready to create our first project. We can do this either by clicking on the Start New STM32 Project button in the Information Center window, or by clicking on the New STM32 Project button in the File menu. The project wizard will then pop up after a little loading. The first step is to select the type of microcontroller we are using. We're now doing this with the Nucleo development panel, which has an STM32F446ZE-T6 microcontroller on it, so we need to select this from the list.
Once this is done, we need to name the project. The name simply can be example project for now, but it is usually worth choosing a descriptive name specific to the project. Always avoid using accented and special characters in names. The documentation of the development environment states that it cannot handle them correctly, so the project path and name should only contain ASCII characters.
Make sure that in the Options section you select C language, executable, and STM32 Cube project type. By pressing Finish, we have created our first project. In this case of new workspaces, the development environment will ask you a few questions during use. For example, when you open a file, it will ask you if you want to switch to the perspective associated with that file type automatically. In this case, it's a good idea to select Yes or to tick the small checkbox at the bottom so that the pop-up window no longer appears. Once you have created your first project with the chosen microcontroller, the development environment will download the necessary software packages. This may take some time. Once the download is done, you will find yourself in the device configurator. We will close this for now and we'll deal with it later. Let's take a look at what does such a project contain in the Project Explorer, which is on the left by default.
A project contains 5 main elements. The path to the includable files mentioned in the previous chapter can be found in Includes. In the core folder, you will find the source and header files, and in the source folder, you will find the main.c, which contains the main function. This is the entry point of our program. In the drivers folder, you can find various additional software packages, such as the HAL library for the microcontroller, which will be discussed in more detail in the 5th chapter. You can also see a .ioc file with the same name as the project. This can be opened in CubeMX to easily configure the peripherals, inputs, and outputs. We will talk about CubeMX in more detail in the 3rd video of this chapter. Finally, we have the memory configuration files generated by the development environment. They contain the memory map of the microcontroller and also a lot of other information.
We can also work on projects from external sources, such as from downloadable content or demo projects, but we need to import them into the development environment first. Open the File menu, then click on Open Project from File System. If you have done everything correctly, you should see this window.
First, we need to select the project on the computer that we want to import. The project can be in a folder or a compressed file. In the first case, select Directory, and in the second case, Archive. Download the chapter's example project and import it into the development environment in any way you want. In the compressed case, click on Archive to locate the file you have just downloaded, while on the other case, you have to unpack the downloaded folder first, and only then can you browse it from the appropriate location in the file system by clicking on Directory. Since in both cases the project will be loaded into the development environment in the same way, it doesn't matter which solution you choose.
After a successful opening, you should see this window. After selecting the directory or compressed file, all the project it contains will appear in the list. In this case, there is one project, which is called Lecture 4. Sometimes there is no project in the directory or in the file, for example, because it is corrupted or because the project is not an STM32 CubeIDE or Eclipse compatible, in which case nothing will be displayed in the window. There may also be a situation where you see it as now as Lecture 4, but you get some kind of error message.
Most often, the problem is that there is already a project with the same name in the workspace, so we cannot import it. In this case, we have to check if the name is already in the Project Explorer or the Workspace folder. If the browsing was successful, clicking on Finish will put your project in the Project Explorer on the left. If you open it, you will see the project structure mentioned before.
Now that we have several projects in the development environment, let's take a look at how to manage them. Bence, please open the main.c file from both the example project and the Lecture 4 project, so that we have two different but identically named files open. If you have multiple projects open at the same time, there is a risk of working on the wrong file, compiling the wrong project, or debugging due to the name merging, which can be time-consuming tasks. Although the path is shown in the name of the window, we always close the projects that we are not working on to reduce the risk of errors. A project is open if it has the little CubeIDE icon in front of it, and closed if it has a blue folder. Now let's right-click on the example project name and select Close Project. Once this is done, you will see that not only has the project changed in the Project Explorer, but the associated main.c file has also been closed. In this case, all files opened for the project will be closed, but will not disappear from the workspace. There is no need to re-import.
Let's assume that we have completed all the tasks in the example project and we don't need it anymore. So it is unnecessary to keep it in the development environment. Let's delete it. Right-click on the project name and select Delete. This is the message we receive.
The checkbox allows you to choose whether you want to delete the entire contents of the project only from the development environment or from the computer as well. Be careful, once it is deleted, it cannot be recovered, unlike items in a recycle bin, so this is a permanent deletion, so care should be taken. Now select the permanent delete option and execute it. After this, if you look at the previously selected workspace folder and the development environment, the project is gone from both places.
In this video, we installed the STM32 CubeIDE development environment and examined how to create, manage, and delete projects. In the upcoming video, we will explore the tools of development environments more closely. We hope you will join us there as well.
See you there!
Bye.